Welcome to the LinkedIn Business Report. My name is Alan Fine, and I'm here with a wonderful person today. I'm very excited to interview her. Her name is Vinny Gibson. Hi, Vinny. How are you doing today?
Hi there, Alan. I'm doing good, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. Where are you hailing from today?
I am in lovely Cochrane, Alberta.
Cochrane, Alberta. And I wish it was a sunny day in Cochrane and Calgary, but it's not.
Well, the sun's actually coming out here, so it's
Is
good.
it? Oh, you're lucky. We'll send it over here afterwards, okay? Because in Calgary, it's not that sunny yet. So I was just looking at your information on your website, sunflowertransitions.com. I was very, very moved by your story. Can you tell me more about yourself, your history, where you're coming from, and why and what you're doing today?
So, do you want me to give you that in little bite-sized pieces?
Yeah.
Or
Give me the. I want to hear the whole thing, the motor vehicle accident you're in, what happened to you afterwards, frustrations. I want to hear everything.
Okay, well, I've been around since 2005, Sunflower Transitions. I was originally, I started my business as a behavioral life coach. I also did a number of other things with workshop facilitation. I'm a big community volunteer, really well invested in my community. 2013, July 2nd, was a day that changed the trajectory of my life for a little bit.
Yes, I'm reading, yeah.
Yeah, my business was just actually really taking off at home. And I happened to be coming home one Friday afternoon after doing a very busy 3-day workshop in the city in Calgary. Almost home, and decided to take a different route than my normal routes, went a back street, and was unfortunate enough to be T-boned by a distracted driver that came through an intersection, hit my car quite hard on the driver's side. Initially, that was a seemingly insignificant event. I got out of the car, my car was totaled, but was checked out very quickly.
Totaled. I mean,
My car was totaled.
Takes a lot to total a car, and to have you walk. You're lucky you walked away from it.
Well, I am very lucky. It was 2 weeks before I realized that maybe I wasn't as lucky as I initially thought I was.
Right.
And that's part of the reason I'm actually so passionate about this particular topic, as well as post-concussion, which we'll probably get into in a little bit here. But I was checked out at emergency care in Cochrane. Pretty much said, yeah, you'll be fine in a few days, a little bit sore, but you're good to go. So I went back to my coaching business at home, went back to facilitating my busy schedule of workshops in the city, and literally 2 weeks later, standing in front of the class of workshop participants, my speech began to slow down, my cognitive processing began to slow down to a snail's pace, and I looked out at the group, wasn't really sure why I was there and what I was saying.
Wow, that must have been pretty scary, actually.
Well, it was actually, initially in that moment, it was a little bit confusing, I have to say, because I really didn't know what concussion was. And throughout that first 2 weeks after that accident, people sort of would say to me in workshops, you've got a bit of a deer in the headlights look. But it was a kind of a gradual thing that was happening over 2 weeks. And so when it happened, it was sort of a bit of a surprise still. But as you can imagine, my speech was not legible anymore. And so I literally had to stop that day and was sent home, of course. And from there, it became a bit of a whole different story. My doctor immediately recommended I go get checked out, have a CT scan. And that began the journey, a 2-year journey really, of just even trying to get that initial injury validated as being more serious than it originally appeared to be.
Right,
so
and I read on your about page, all your challenges of going through different doctors and trying to figure out what's going on exactly, and people telling you it's all in your head.
Absolutely.
And people telling you you're faking it. I mean, if people telling you you're faking it, I mean, my God, you were in this car accident where your vehicle got totaled. I mean, it's absolutely amazing to me that anybody would say that to you at all.
Yeah, and I think that's the story of a lot of people, Alan. the thing I'm learning about post-concussion and even brain injury is that even an injury that in the beginning seems fairly insignificant can develop into something really much more serious than was ever originally, thought it would be. And so to have to go and see so many therapists over a 2-year period and keep being told that there was nothing wrong with me, even being admitted into a speech pathology program, cognitive therapy program, but still being told, well, there's really nothing much wrong with you. And 2 years later, finding out that in fact I did sustain a fairly complicated brain injury.
And who finally diagnosed you properly and told you that?
Well, interestingly enough, it was no one in the medical system.
Right.
It was actually a physiotherapist who specialized in something called vestibular hyperacusis therapy.
Yes, I was reading that on your website also, yeah.
Yes. And also I was eventually, through a process of my own sort of self-determination, as much as I could be self-determined in that process, being referred to direct myself to something called the Brain Injury Assist program, and being assigned a brain injury coach who, together with the vestibular physiotherapist, then really advocated for me to keep pushing to get to some kind of medical intervention where we could really get this injury validated as being more than just a level 1 whiplash injury. It was definitely a brain injury, and more with a complication of something called vestibular hyperacusis, which is a very common complication of concussion, again, which is often either goes missed or undermined or devaluated as not being a very serious thing within the concussion recovery.
Right. And I'm sure on top of arguing with your doctors, you're probably at the same time arguing with your freaking insurance company to get proper medical coverage and proper treatment. And I'm sure I'm sure. So when you finally got properly diagnosed and you had concrete proof for them, what happened? Because I've been through motor vehicle accidents beforehand where, I mean, the biggest thing you're doing is fighting the insurance companies sometimes.
That's exactly right. Well, the insurance company actually dismissed me and cut me off any kind of benefits pretty quickly on, as soon as I was sent to a neurologist actually when my speech was going, and he was the one that actually said there was nothing much wrong with me, go back to work, you're fine. And so from that point on, the insurance company, they were actually really a challenge as well to deal with. They pretty much dismissed me, so I had no income, no benefits from them whatsoever. So it was really a fight to, as I say, work through the healthcare system. Initially, for me at that point, I just wanted to get access to appropriate care so that I could begin to get my life back. And recognizing that even though I was being told there's nothing wrong with you, I was in a different body, it was like my brain was disconnected from the rest of my body. And so needing to get to proper care so that I could resume my life was my number one concern. And then secondly, being self-employed, being a business person, how does a person actually then live for the next little while?
Time, and that's not a few months, talking about years. So let me ask you, once you did get properly diagnosed and somebody put that pen to paper to make sure you had it in concrete in writing, did the insurance company change things, or do they still fight you? Just
No, never did actually get anywhere with the insurance company. And so I actually very early on, fortunately, had been referred to a personal injury lawyer who actually was one of my best advocates through this whole process. And that would be something I would really want to also get out to people in this journey, is even if the injury in the early stages seems fairly insignificant, I would definitely recommend people to get connected to an personal injury lawyer, and specifically someone who understands brain injury, because they are then invested in your recovery as well, and in fighting for you to get not only the best care but also to get the best compensation that you can get from being out of life for indefinitely, as I was. And so I think being able to access those resources is really what is important for people who are trying to have their injury validated.
Right. And now you do the same thing. You help people who have gone through similar situations that you're going through. You help coach them through the process of recovery, access the right kind of resources probably. Tell me more about your current business and what you're doing exactly.
So I'm actually in the process just since last year of rebranding my coaching business now to really focus very specifically on brain injury and post-concussion syndrome recovery. I think it's a fairly unique
Niche.
position that I'm in because I am bringing my own journey of having to navigate the healthcare system. There are tools and resources out there, but sometimes trying to find them, it's a challenge. And when a person is going through something like a brain injury or a really serious concussion, the energy isn't there, the brain isn't really functioning with all
Focusing.
cylinders. You're tired and fatigued. You're being sent to this doctor and this person and this person. And so I really think I'm well situated now within my journey to be able to shortcut some of those frustrations for people who are trying to access care and who may be told that their injury too is, it's not, there's nothing wrong with you. It's insignificant. It's minimal. You'll be better
It's
in
all in
3
your
weeks.
head.
It's
It's
all in your
all in
head.
your head. Literally.
And they are suffering. And so
Yeah.
being able to give them the resources, education in this whole field of post-concussion and mild brain injury, there's still lots of self-awareness and education that needs to happen. And so from my own experience as well, now being able to help people along very early on in their journey as to how do they actually look after themselves, even if they're being told that there's nothing wrong with them and they're experiencing these symptoms that are lasting, beyond 3 to 6 months. They really do need to seek out some kind of immediate intervention because there's something else going on that needs some immediate attention. So being able to provide the kind of advocacy and the education, the tools by way of my coaching background, specializing in transitions, and especially being able to help people in this journey understand it's not just the physical recovery from concussion or brain injury, it's the emotional roller coaster of the brain just being broken in many ways from this particular event. Family and friends may not recognize you as the person that they knew before the injury. Some people, they have real significant personality changes. And that makes it difficult for caregivers or family or even, principals of high schools or employers trying to understand what's wrong with this person. How come they're not performing or focusing or concentrating or just doing the job that they are supposed to do the way that they used to do it. So bringing all of that education to not just the person who is dealing with the recovery, but to whoever is in their circle of friends or family, caregivers, spouses.
That's fantastic.
It's
Do you
all
have any
part of.
stats at all? I'm just curious. Any stats at all, USA or Canada, as far as how many concussions or brain injuries of this type happen every single year from either, sports injuries or motor vehicle accidents or anything else?
You know what, Alan, I don't have specific stats for you on that. I was not actually prepared to answer that question. I'm sorry.
No problem, that's fine.
But I do.
Contact me for that.
I do know that there are stats that would say right now that in sports-related injuries, for instance, there's often more females than males
Right.
who are experiencing concussion injuries.
Right.
Also, there's a large proportion of women between the ages of 30 and 50 who have concussions, not just from falls or sports-related injuries, the traditional kind of concussions that we may be familiar with, but there's also things such as, domestic abuse, related head injuries.
Right.
And so concussion is such a wide topic right now. And often people have concussions and are unaware that they really have concussions, and maybe that's the reason that they are not focusing or they're finding it hard to complete tasks or stay on task.
Right.
They may be experiencing fatigue. They may have balance issues, as I had, severe balance and vertigo types of issues.
Right.
But in terms of hard stats, I don't have those for you
That's
this
fine.
morning.
No problem. So, this is a LinkedIn business report. Have you found that being on LinkedIn has helped you connect with people you need to connect with within the field, or within has it been a valuable tool for you so far?
I've always found LinkedIn to be a good platform to network and to connect with people who are not just within my field, but just reaching out to people from all industries.
Right.
I think the biggest thing I would say about LinkedIn is bringing awareness to my platform right now, in
Right.
terms of making people aware that a professional person, actually like myself, who is maybe even a business person, we can still be productive and bring things to the table, even though we may be managing and living with a new normal, such as post-concussion syndrome. And I think because it's an invisible kind of injury, often people are not even aware that they may be relating to someone who is living with some of these complications. And because you can't see the day-to-day struggles that they have to manage that particular injury or recovery, it may be hard for people to realize that brain injury can be such a broad spectrum injury. It's not someone who's in a coma necessarily,
I understand that.
or who's out of commission, in a way that we can all see that. So
Right.
I think LinkedIn has really been a good platform for me to just get the word out. And I'm finding that this has only been since last fall that I've been in this rebranding process. And so I found, though, that in the last 6 to 9 months, that it's been like turning on a fire hose.
Yeah.
And
That's
and
pretty
suddenly,
amazing, isn't it? Well, I gotta make sure that people have your LinkedIn profile link within the interviews for the website afterwards. They can connect with you and contact you. I want to thank you so much for being here today. Once again, Vinny Gibson from sunflowertransitions.com. Thank you, Vinny, for being here today, and have a great day. All right.
you're very welcome, Alan. Thanks again for having me
Thank
on.
you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.